You're tuned in to Shake, Rattle, and Goal, the official podcast of your Springfield Thunderbirds.
Becca's there on the backhand, scoring the save, rebound in the crease, they score!
Hosted by Matt Baker and Steve Forney. A show that's everything Springfield hockey, with interviews including players, coaches, and staff.
The Springfield Indians repeat as the Calder Cup champions.
Listen to this podcast on all major streaming platforms and wherever you download podcasts.
In his first year at the helm, Kevin McDonald and Drew Bannister have the Teamers in the Calder Cup Finals.
Watch the podcast on the official Shake, Rattle, and Goal YouTube page at SRG Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker and Steve Forney. And this episode number 17 of Season 3 of the Shake, Rattle, and Goal podcast is proudly brought to you by our friends at the TDS Center for Communication and Social Learning in Amherst. You can visit them at tdsspeech.com. By the fine folks over at MassCon United Training Center in Agawam. They are at mcutrainingcenter.com. And, of course, by our pal Rob Fitzpatrick at Landscaping That Fits. You can visit them at landscapingthatfits.com alongside Matt Baker. I am Steve Forney. Matt, how are you?
Doing well, staying warm. Gearing up for the Super Bowl. How about you?
I am very much geared up for the Super Bowl. We have parties in here and they're kind of calm, and I don't think this one's going to be calm because the Pats are back, baby. So it's going to be fun.
I'll talk to you off air on that because we won't take up this podcast with that. But I did want to ask you that.
No, this should be a good one.
So, we're looking forward to it. We'll see you guys on Super Bowl Sunday. So we're looking forward to it.
It'll be nice to have you. Programming note, not next week, but the week after, will be out of town. So Matt is going to be teaming up with the fine folks at the Blues podcast, like we usually do it once a year.
Yep.
Since I'm out of town, figured like a good opportunity for you guys to do that. So not next week's episode, but episode number 19 will be just Matt flying solo against all the Blues boys. Hopefully they don't beat up on you too much. But that just a programming note, something for you folks to keep your eye on. Obviously, we have tons to talk about. The 3-on-3, some good, some bad, some questionable stuff. We have Akil Thomas back. And real quick, by the way, tons of fan rants. You guys asked some phenomenal questions.
Good stuff.
That I can kind of maybe touch on a little bit, or at least give you a little bit more information, because Saturday night was really a frustrating night for me, just based on the way that the game was handled. And so we will get to that as well. The breaking news that we had yesterday, by the way, I am wearing the Hockey Fights Cancer, as today, Wednesday, is Cancer Day. So to all those of you out there who are fighting, know somebody, I know you all do. We're certainly thinking about you. The news that came out yesterday that Samuel Johannesson has asked for a contract termination, which means he will no longer be here. And I don't know, Matt, when we've seen this happen, whether it's Brandon Saad or it is
Silvergard?
Yes, Sam Bitten and Alexandrov, and there have been times where we've been like, well, maybe the player wanted to get out of here, and I'm like, well, maybe the team wanted the player out of here. Like there's definitely two sides of that story, but this does seem like something that continues to happen. And it just real quick on Johannesson, I think that he's looking around. Marc-Andre Godet is a pleasant surprise and is impossible to take out of the lineup. I don't know about you, but I think Quentin Burns has played really well, and I don't see you taking him out of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's a new coach who likes the 6 that he has, and you're not one of the 6, maybe you think you're suited off better somewhere else. I don't think that all of these are the same. I don't think that Sam necessarily was that. I definitely don't think Nicky was like that, but I do think this might be one of those examples where he looks around and says, if I can get out of here and go back to Sweden or find another team, he's going to do that. And so that's sort of what I thought and I think that's a good problem to have. We'll miss Johannesson, but I think it's a good problem to have, to where you have 6 really good defensemen that a guy like Johannesson can't crack. And so I think that's sort of where they're at with that.
Well, and I think too, just to add, I agree with you. And just to add a little bit, I think when you look at it, it's like, all right, well, what are you bringing to the table when you're in the starting lineup? And I think for like a guy like Quentin Burns, who since the call up, you're like, all right, well, you add a level of feistiness and physicality. Some of the stuff that I've been talking about, like this is what I think we miss. I would like more of it, right? Quentin Burns brings that. And I think, look, it's fair to say well, why is Lindstein playing over Johannesson? And I don't mean this to completely knock on Theo Lindstein. I don't think he's played all that well this year, but he's also a very high draft pick, and you were invested in him. And when in any sport, the higher you're drafted, the more rope you have, right? The more patience a team will have with you. So when you're looking at creating your defensive pairings, you're like, well, all right, I need a little bit of feistiness. All right, well, Quentin Burns, you got it. And from a development standpoint, I'm sure St. Louis and look, Thunderbirds, they understand the assignment. You develop players, and you don't develop while you're sitting up top watching. And so, who do you need to develop more? Theo Lindstein, who was a first-round draft pick, or Sam Johannesson? And off the top of my head, I should have had this prepped. I don't know.
It's funny. I'm looking it up right now because I don't know where you're going with it. Yep.
Chime in when you get it, but like that's just how the cookie crumbles. And so I'm not resentful towards Sam Johannesson. Again, like my mindset as an outsider looking in is not personal to me. I don't like, well, I couldn't crack it here, so I'm going to quit here and move on to who will give me a shot. Like I want the mentality and attitude of, I guess I got to work harder. Again, I say this all the time, make it impossible for them to take you out of the lineup. Marc-Andre Godet, you've made it impossible. You were not a top 6 defenseman on this team. He might have even started in the ECHL.
Who's that?
So
sorry,
Godet, Marc-Andre Godet.
Yep,
right?
Yes,
so
he
like
did.
you made it impossible for them to take you out. Quentin Burns, you're a call up a few weeks ago, but what you brought to the table made it impossible. Not impossible. You made it very difficult for them to leave you out. And so, you know, I have no resentment towards Johannesson. But this is, I think, today's athlete is you're looking for the path of least resistance. And again, I don't mean this to totally bash on Johannesson. I don't know all the details. I don't know if he's looking to go back to Sweden or if he's looking to play somewhere else in the AHL. If he clears waivers and his contract is terminated, he becomes a free agent and anyone can sign him. So
and realistically, why would any team claim him knowing that he's a possible flight risk to go back to Europe anyway?
So you're not gonna claim him off waivers.
Right.
So let him be a free agent. Have a conversation with him, and if you decide that you want to sign him and he wants to be signed by you, then that's where he goes. So, you know, good luck.
Real quick. Johannesson, 25 years old, 6th round draft pick by the Blue Jackets. Quentin Burns, 20 years old, 3rd round pick by the Blues. So you want to talk about where the investment is? It's clearly in a guy like Burns.
Yes.
Like I couldn't have said it better, because if all you're bringing to the table is what Johannesson brought to the table, which was a lot. I'll never forget how he started last season as a brand new guy in a brand new country, playing big, important third period minutes. Was huge. But if you're just doing what Theo Lindstein's doing, again, where's the investment from the Blues? It's in Theo Lindstein. So there was a little bit of and he's somewhere between Leo Loof and Theo Lindstein. Well, those are the guys that they're invested in.
Yeah.
So I would love for him to just stick around and be a good sport about it. And somebody gets hurt or Quentin Burns has trouble staying out of the penalty box or whatever it is, you're there and ready to go. Certainly not the case. I'm glad it's happening now because they can still bring in a free agent if they want to. It's not like it's after the trade deadline. So there are still things that they can address if they want more depth. But good luck. And another part of it too is Steve Ott. And maybe Steve Ott wants to play more physical, and he wants Godet playing and Burns playing physically. And Sam Johannesson doesn't really fit that mold. Like maybe he's like, I only want 1 or 2 offensive minded defensemen in my lineup at all times. And it's Loof and it's Lindstein.
Yeah.
You're just not going to get in there. So I think that the defense is in a really good spot. I feel like this would have hurt more a couple months ago because you didn't know what you had in Godet and you didn't have Burns up here. So I think I'm okay with where they are, sans Johannesson. But,
you're top 6. You're Rosen, Skinner, Loof. You still got Butchinger. So like he
another draft pick,
right? Like he's looking at it like, all right, I'm 8th on the totem pole, and there isn't the incentive of like, hey, let's develop this guy. So I get it.
Anthony Kerr is coming back too. I'm not sure what. We didn't see much of him, and I don't know not enough to at least say whether or not we think he's an everyday player. But at least I believe he's back skating. So at least he's coming back for some depth as well. But
it's surprising. I actually had him pegged for probably a season ender.
Well, I could have got bad intel too, but that's just what I heard through the grapevine. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll kind of see how that all shakes out. We did have a pretty decent weekend of playoff hockey. It's amazing that it's like same old, where you get 2 wins and you're like, yes, like look at this momentum. And now we just got to beat Bridgeport. And then you get shut out by a 36-year-old journeyman who I haven't even seen since before TikTok was available. Right. And now he's back and he's literally shutting you out. It's like right back to square one.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's start Friday.
Mm-hmm.
The 30th against Lehigh Valley, a 2-0 victory for the Thunderbirds. I thought a complete game coming off of the 1-0 victory in Belleville. It's everything. It's everything that you'd want, right? I think if I'm not mistaken, you had 2 first-period power play goals by the Thunderbirds. You have Zarenko just kind of dominating.
Sure did.
And this is
outshot him.
Yeah, you out, and this is kind of what you're thinking is this is what a Steve Ott team is going to look like. And no complaints here. Like I thought it was a great game. We were able to Friday right after Jake's basketball game, we got right on the couch and we were able to watch it. And again, teams above you in the standings, you've got to beat, and you've got to beat them in regulation. You can't afford them the 1 point. At the end of the day, you want the 2, but you can't afford to give Lehigh Valley 1 point. They're ahead of you. You took care of business in regulation. A nice 2-1 victory. I mean, I know I'm not really going too deep in the weeds here, but it's like there isn't much to say. It was just this is what you want your team who's struggling, who the talent is there. This is how you want them to play.
Yeah, and I've talked about it in weeks past about the ability to drain clock.
Yep.
And if it's a tie game and you got to get to overtime, how do you do it without giving up a goal? If you have a 1-goal lead late, how do you get to zeros on the clock without giving up a goal? And this is the exact game they would have lost in November. They would have found a way to lose this game, and instead they battled. Again, it's not even like Lehigh Valley had 16 shots on goal in the period and your goalie was standing on his head. Shots in the third period were 7-7. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they were just a full-on onslaught and you survived to get there. No, you played a full game. You killed clock. You managed the game. You were in control of the game in the third period with a 1-goal lead. That's what you're looking for. Would some insurance been great? Of course. But the fact that you're able to close the door on that and do so confidently, I think goes a long way in terms of the long-term goal, which is development and understanding how to win. Like this team needs to really remember how to win a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was a big step for me on Friday night against Lehigh Valley was, you can win 4-1, you can lose 4-1, but how do you win 2-1? How do you make that happen without your goalie just being a complete barrage the entire period? And they did. They killed clock, managed the game, got the hell out of there with a win in regulation. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what I was really happy to see there coming out of that game on Friday.
Yeah. And then you go to Saturday again at home, hometown heroes night. Always great to see, the on ice parade there and in the intermission, but a big victory against the Hartford Wolfpack, 4-1. And that was like, yeah, sure. I would have loved to see 8-1, right? Because I feel like the Wolfpack is kind of down. They're licking their wounds a little bit, but a 4-1 is a convincing win in hockey. Like that's a convincing win, and that's the kind of win that you needed. So taking these 2 games though, and even I'm going to throw in that the 1-0 loss to Belleville. Like I want to be, I am. I'm happy. I'm positive. I'm excited to see how this season is gonna finish up for the Thunderbirds. I truly am. But it also what the heck? And why the brand of hockey that we saw Friday and Saturday, and even to some extent Sunday, to some extent Sunday. I am shocked. I'm not shocked. I'm surprised that the turnaround was so quick. I don't know if you are, Steven. You can chime in on that too. But like, how you go from 1, 2, 3, like 4.5 months of not
lethargy.
a good brand of hockey. We use that term a lot. To then all of a sudden, in a matter of 2 weeks, playing the hockey we expected to see. And so I'm questioning, obviously, coaching, but also GM, St. Louis. What the heck took you so long? How could you have been comfortable with what was happening in October, November, December, when all it took? Because I don't know, again, like, I could be wrong on this. I don't attend practices. I don't talk to players. Neither do you. But like, any massive scheme change, I feel like doesn't just happen in a week. Doesn't just happen. I mean, we literally saw this from his first game. So, like, how could the general manager, St. Louis, how could you have been happy for those first 3.5, 4 months of the season to allow it to continue to happen? And maybe it's, well, we didn't have the replacement in place, and I get that, but I don't know. It's such a better brand of hockey that we're seeing. The forecheck, the back check, the hustle, the shot. That's just another thing. Like, we went 2 years of giving up 40 shots a game. That's not normal hockey. It isn't, folks. Like, right? And now all of a sudden we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, literally 5 games in. And this is off the top of my head. I think 4 of the 5 games you've outshot your opponents. And in one game you had 40 shots on goal, but like, you haven't given up 30 shots in a single game. And so it's like, the talent, the skill has been there. These guys know how to play hockey. Why did it take so long? I don't know.
Well, that's a fair point. And I mean, I've been calling for this move since Thanksgiving, off the air, because I wasn't going to pound my fist into the table live on the air. But Matt can back me up on that. And so can you, Al. For me personally, it just goes to show how close they were.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's a coaching change. There's always going to be positive momentum. There's always going to be 2 or 3 games where you're riding the high of the new coach. And if you're a bad team, that high wears off, and then you go back to sucking. If you're a good team and you're like, oh crap, that's right, we're good, we know what we're doing, then that little jolt of excitement, you were able to carry over and build that momentum and keep the momentum going. And I think it's the latter, because this is a talented team and they know what they're doing. And that's why we've been asking this question since October as to why can't they figure it out. And so I don't think that this is some brand new, really super uber complicated system that Steve Ott is bringing in. I think it is very simply, why are you passing? Shoot. Okay, we'll shoot. Why are you trying to make a fancy pass to get out of the zone? Flip it to the neutral zone and get off the ice and get a line change. Okay, that sounds like a good idea, coach. So you're spending less time in your zone. You're spending more time in the offensive zone. You're shooting the puck more. Those aren't like groundbreaking things. Those are just things that a coach needs to establish and say, you need to do this instead of that. Play more physical. Okay, coach. Like, I don't think that he's, don't do the slingshot on the power play. Just carry it into the zone and set up shop. Okay, coach. Like, it's literally that simple. I'm not saying I could do it, right? Yeah. But like, a tweak this, tweak that, tweak this, tweak that, and boom, you're a better hockey team. Like, that wasn't hard, because that's how close this team is to being good, because of their insane amount of talent. And again, this proves to me more that they had Connor Walchuk tuned out. Yeah. And we're, again, going 80% when they should have been going 100, because now they're going 100 and they're winning games out shooting their opponents and looking like they belong in this division. So yes, do I wish this happened in, like I said, Thanksgiving? Of course. After the 2 in Charlotte, again, the only change is Steve Ott. The rest of the Wiseman's still there. Modry's still there. So there's all that is still there and in place. I just think now they have some direction. Now they have a reason to something to look forward to, an end goal at every shift, an end goal of every period, an end goal of every game. They have something to strive for. The motivation is there. The communication is back. And those are the things that I think were starting to really wear down in the previous regime. Whereas now they're like, all right, let's go. We're buying in. We'll roll with you. Again, these are 20-year-old kids. They're 20-year-old kids. And I know we've said this, Matt, but as teachers, you get one kid that tunes you out, you're not getting them back.
Yeah.
That kid's going to tune you out for the rest of the year. So, there was no going back, I think, with the previous regime with a lot of these guys. And again, like I said, it was just simple things. And I think even when we talked about their worst stretches, it was always death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yes.
One mistake here, one mistake there, inability to get it out, one bad penalty. There was death by 1,000 paper cuts, whereas now there's only 500 paper cuts rather than 1,000. That's manageable, right? No one's asking for perfect.
Yeah.
But that's manageable. And so now that it's manageable, the points are starting to come.
Yeah. Yep. And I think, look, Otto Stenberg is back. Listening to Ryan on the broadcast this weekend, I agree with him. I think, it's obvious. Had he played one more game in St. Louis, he would be ineligible to return. So St. Louis sends him down for the Olympic break, the All-Star and Olympic break kind of thing. And then I would assume he's heading back up to the big club. But he played well. I think he had a handful of helpers this weekend. McGing had a helper. Goals from Skinner and Dubé. And I think when you get now those role guys to put in points, move the puck around. I thought the power play moved the puck around really well, with the exception of the 5-on-3 on Sunday. But when you have the Dylan Dubés, the Hunter Skinners putting in points, and McGing is still active, getting his assists, and Wagner's going to do what he does, Luff's going to do what he does, Pekka's going to do his thing. I think this is just sort of the recipe for how this team's going to be successful and just get solid goaltending.
I mean, it's a good night when the 3 stars of the game are Gaudette, Skinner, and Dubé. Yeah. It's no longer Adam Gaudette, number 1 star every night. Like,
right.
Dubé, Skinner, got Marc-Andre Gaudette. Like that's what you're looking for when you finish a game for your 3 stars. Let me just check real quick. Lehigh Valley, your 3 stars: Zarenko, Pekarchik, and Wagner.
Yep.
3 completely different names, first of all. And not guys, maybe Wagner, but not guys that at the beginning of the season you're like, well, we got to lean on this guy for points because we're not going to be able to get it anywhere else. So the wealth is being spread. Everybody's getting involved. Everybody's getting into it, which is good. Real quick, not to, again, my ADD brain, thoughts on Akil Thomas. How's he looked?
It looked good. If he had an assist, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
So he had the assist. It looked good, looked fast. I saw him throwing the body around, and that's what you want. He's going to have to shake off 2 months of rust. I think he missed 8 weeks. So, he's going to have to shake off game rust. The kid knows how to play hockey.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. From what I believe what I read was he was just kind of held out of that 3-3 just because after 2 months of not playing a game, you don't want to play 3 in a row. So, I'm going to speculate, and I wonder if playing Romanov 2 in a row, I wonder if that had to do with a little bit of the bump Zarenko took in Lehigh Valley. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the fan rant. I know there was something else from Hartford we will talk more about in the fan rant. But, I was a little bit surprised now on Sunday, the 3rd game in a 3-3. It was Bridgeport's 3rd game of a 3-3 as well. I always think it's easier when you're coming home for that 3rd game. But if I'm being completely honest, it's not like Bridgeport is selling out their Coliseum and a true home field. I'm not trying to be, a jerk there, but I still think it's easier to come home for to end your 3-3 than it is to leave to end your 3-3. But you've got Romanov making his 2nd start in a row, back-to-back nights against, someone who hasn't made an AHL start in like a decade,
since the Obama administration. Really. Yeah. It's crazy. Well, real quick, I think Yeah. I think that a part of it too is just that every single 3-3 this year has been Zarenko 2 out of the 3.
Yeah.
And so maybe a part of it is like, well, let's give him another night off. And I think they're starting to trust Romanov a lot more. Again, this is a guy that they brought in after the year had already started, kind of got his feet wet a little bit. Now they're realizing this guy's legit. He can be a real asset to us. He's not just backup. Let's push him a little more. Let's lean on him a little more. Zarenko, we're going to develop. Let's develop this guy too. Why not?
Yeah.
I know he's not our draft pick and we didn't sign him. If he's capable and can do it, let's throw him out there and let's make it happen. And so I think that goes two ways. One, to give Z a little bit of a break, but two, you throw Romanov on there and say, well, let's see what he got. So if he gets shelled with 5 goals, then we'll pull him and go to Zarenko. If he gives up 1 goal and holds his own, which he did, then we'll call that a win. I mean, there's nothing, you can't blame the Bridgeport loss on him at all whatsoever. I mean, you got to score a goal to win. So I think that it was really just those two things. Give him a chance and give Z a night off.
Yeah. Which, and very well could have been, I didn't have any gripes with it. I thought really, I was
surprised, but I didn't have any.
I was too. I wasn't expecting it, but I'm good for him. I mean, he's played Bridgeport well all season. I think he was 2-0-1, like a 198 goals against going into it against them. So I had no real issue with it. I will say, Joe, and I said this to you before we started the show, like, look, the Thunderbirds' kryptonite is a 6'8" walrus goaltender or a dude making his first AHL career start. Now, I know Jeremy Smith is not his first, but he basically is a reborn rookie, right? Like for all intensive purposes, this was his first AHL start since any of the guys he faced has been in the AHL. So, that's clearly their kryptonite of a goaltender. And they couldn't crack him. I thought they probably had lethargic, heavy legs, as did Bridgeport. It wasn't glaring. It wasn't notable. I think, though, the turning point is when you have the 5-on-3 2-minute power play in the third, down 2 goals, and you end up with nothing. I think that was just sort of like, all right, boys, let's kind of ride this one out. I do have a question for you. Do you know? So how would that work? A 5-on-3, 2 minutes within the same sequence. So if they scored, one player would come out of the penalty box.
Yeah, you go 5-on-4.
In my guess, it would have been whoever that original penalty was called on, because the second penalty came when they were skating 6-on-5.
Yeah,
the extra skater, right? So the original offending player would be the first out of the box, or
correct.
Chronological. Who gets out? It's
right.
Okay. All right.
It's chronological. We had one of those in Hartford too. We had to sort of think about, okay, well, if they score, who's the first one out? And I don't even, sometimes I'm like, you guys figure this out.
Yeah.
But I'll just defer, to the refs. But that's how that would work.
Yeah. And those penalties too, like those, give the Thunderbirds credit. And I believe it was Dubé who got hooked. Like, the reason you get hooked is because you're hustling to try to make the play. Correct. And if he isn't hooked, it was a wide open goal, right? So you're kind of like, you want the 5-on-3 2-minute power play, but at the same time, you're like, give me a penalty shot there, because that clearly, for all intents and purposes, it is essentially a breakaway wide open net.
Yeah.
But I get it. But again, like, the Thunderbirds, they were hustling and they were playing hard. And I guess maybe I, as a fan, just after you got blanked on the 2-man advantage, I'm like, well, all right, let me go fold some laundry. Yep. All right, it was a successful, you win 2 out of 3 and a 3-on-3. That's a successful trip. It always feels better when you get that third win. But at the end of the day, at the end of the weekend, you win 2 out of 3. That's a win. You're plus for the weekend. That's what you want. If you win more weekends than you lose, you're probably somewhere in that 6th spot looking at a playoff. So that's the Thunderbirds did what they needed to do.
I'm just looking. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but over the 3 games, the Thunderbirds were a +4 in goals scored. Just if you took all the goals and added them up, They're like a +4, so +3. I hate math, but
You know what?
they're plus. You know what I'm saying?
No, I have them even.
Well, they're giving up 3. They gave up 3 goals all weekend.
Yeah, you gave up 4 to Bridgeport. You lost 4-0.
Oh, that was 4-0. Why did I think?
4.
Oh my goodness! Why did I think it was 1-0? Maybe that's when I turned it off.
No, it was 4-0, and then it was.
Yeah. And then I went to the Bruins game
I'm
and
like,
watched
wait a
Jeremy
minute,
Swayman fight. Sorry, my
neither
hockey
one of
brain
us
is
are math
scrambled.
guys, but yeah.
No. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
they
you
were
for that.
6, so they were even.
Way to bring that up, Steve. So real quick, like 30 seconds. Thoughts on Bridgeport moving to Hamilton?
Yeah, we
we talk
mentioned
about
this
that?
last week a
We did,
little
okay,
bit.
okay.
I mean,
Man, my brain is so shot.
good riddance.
Sorry.
Not to be like Bridgeport's the last 4 years have just been a thorn in our side, and this year, to give them credit, they are a better team. So it doesn't sting as much when you lose to Bridgeport. They are a better team. I'm not going to miss playing the Islanders.
No.
And I hope it means we play more Utica, we play more Hershey, even. And that to me, that's fine. Play more Rochester, play more.
I think my problem is I haven't listened to our episode from last week yet. Usually I like to listen back
Oh,
to it.
I
know
do.
what I
replay
did,
it, yeah.
and I like to make sure that I'm not sounding like an idiot, and I didn't do that, and now I sound like an idiot. So we'll move. We got so much other great stuff to talk about. We do want to thank the TDS Center for Communication and Social Learning. In Amherst, its unique location right in the center of Amherst, allowing for clients and groups to enjoy the social constructs of city life. Founder Teresa Dooley-Smith is a leader within the speech and language community, continuing to find innovative ways to meet the needs of all individuals. For more information, you can go to tdsspeech.com. You can give them a call at 413-835-0735, or again, Google them. By the fine folks at MassCon United Training Centers, your one-stop facility for all your training needs. Regardless of your talent level, MCU has room for you to improve your craft. They offer training for soccer, lacrosse, baseball, golf, hockey, floor hockey, field hockey, weight training, agility. Also a great place for a birthday party. Go let the kids blow off some steam for an hour and run around, have a good time. So for information on birthday parties or whatever it is you have going on, you can go to mcutrainingcenter.com. You can also call them at 301-6040, right over the bridge from the Big E in Agawam. You can't miss them. Really nice space, really nice facility. And by our friends at Landscaping That Fits, keeping Western Mass lawns green, healthy, and looking their best. And right now you can save 10% on all of your 2026 fertilizing when you sign up, and you don't even have to prepay. So that to me was a big thing. I get a bill. He bills out the first of the month. In the email, click on it, go right to Apple Pay or however you want to pay. Boom, it's done. It's taken care of. It's painless. So it's easy, and you're going to get so many different treatments. I know it's hard to think about the lawn, which is just buried right now in snow. 6 fertilizer treatments: fall, lime, crabgrass prevention, broadleaf weed control, grub control, insect control. Rob's got it all, and it's one less thing you have to deal with as a homeowner. So feel free, landscapingthatfits.com, promo code SRG10. Do we want to do you want to do the voting, or do you want to do the fan rants?
Yeah, let's be the bracket will be kind of quick, and then we'll get into because we got some great fan rants, and then we'll be wrapping up with our next 3 games. Not a 3-3, but we got 3 road games this week. So last week's matchup: Hugh McGing, Adam Gaudette. Pretty much like a 60-40 split for your winner, Hugh Money McGing. It was even 50-50 split on our Instagram poll and Facebook poll, about 60-40. Hugh McGing will move on to face Captain Matthew Pekka in the semifinals, the offensive finals. And this week's matchup are top 2 defenders, former Captain Tommy Cross, the number 1 seed over there, against the number 3 seed Tyler Tucker, who had a nice goal up in St. Louis the other night. So Hugh McGing moves on. This now new Tommy Cross, Tyler Tucker. Do you have a preference who you want to talk about? Anybody in particular? Or
I mean, I think they're two very they're very similar, but also very different. I think the leadership skills are there for both. I think that if Pekka wasn't here and Tucker was here and it was October and you're putting together a team, he would at least have an A on his shirt, if not a C. A guy like Tyler Tucker. So I think that they're both very similar. Obviously, Tucker played a little longer. I think Tommy's had the more fan sort of love if you will. So it's going to depend on if people are going with their emotions, if they're going with the prospect, if they're going with the production, where this is all going to shake out.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I credit Tommy Cross for a lot of the things that we talk about off the ice. And I mean this no slight to any former captain or any former player with the Thunderbirds, whether they had a C or an A leadership group or not. But I think what Tommy Cross, and maybe it's just coincidentally coincided with my kids old enough to appreciate the Thunderbirds. So that made me as a parent, but like that's when Tommy Cross was captain. That's when you saw things really take a change for the positive. And I even remember an interview we had with Matthew Pekka last year, 2 years ago, him crediting, and Matthew Peck is a guy who was a captain all over. He was a captain in college and he's always a leader, right? So it's not like he didn't know how to be a leader, but he always credits Tommy Cross for setting the table and Matthew doing his own thing, but still remembering this is how Tommy kind of brought it along. So I think Tommy Cross deserves a lot of credit off the ice for things that he did for this organization. And I think for me, at least, Tyler Tucker was more of your on ice production. He was a guy who would drop the gloves,
block shots,
goals, block shots,
shot blockers.
Right? Yeah, just that gritty, do what I need to do to win.
Didn't say much though. I don't really remember Tucker being a big talker. I think he just kind of went about his business, and I think he still kind of just goes about his business.
I think so too. I think he would, the meet and greets with the fans, he'd have a smile on his face, but would not try to, you're right. And again, I don't think players need to do this at all. I think like they're human, just like I are. Some days I don't want to talk to people. But he always had a smile on his face. Tommy Cross always had a conversation with you. And so this is an interesting one. I truly don't know how this one's going to end up. I had a feeling Pekka would win. I had a feeling McGing would win. This one is interesting to me. This one's interesting because they're both recent, same kind of position. The captain of Tommy Cross, and I'm with you. Tucker had the A. He wore the A. Even the years he was up and down all year long, he had the A. So he was just as much a leader as Tommy Cross, just not the veteran that Tommy Cross was. So, I would expect as some players, as their career ends and Tyler Tucker if he finds his way back down to an AHL club, he's probably wearing a C and he's doing what Tommy Cross did for the Thunderbirds kind of thing.
And so he'd be great at it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So fans, pay attention, look for the poll. Please vote on the poll for Tommy Cross or Tyler Tucker. There will be the graphic up there. Share your comments there. We can debate and talk there, but vote on the poll. That's where it will count.
Love it. Love it. All right. Fan rant time.
Fan rants. Yes.
Brought to you by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. Do we want to dive right in and get to the question that everybody's kind of asking here?
Yes. Yeah.
Jason Paninsky, what is going on Saturday with the officiating? It seemed like it was total confusion. Matt said, my only question is why did that Hartford player in the second period not get thrown out of the game after giving the official a hard time going to the box? How did Skinner get a 10-minute misconduct and sportsmanlike when the player came after him? All right, so here was the deal there. All right, so first of all, the reason why that game got so ugly and so out of hand physically, and this is strictly from watching 10 years of hockey down at the ice level. The reason why the game got out of hand was because the linesman didn't drop the puck. And this is a bugaboo of mine. Just drop the puck. We got to blow the whistle. We got to stand there. We got to talk to this guy. We got to talk to that guy. Meanwhile, the guys behind him are pushing and shoving and elbowing each other. The guys on the far side are elbowing each other. The defensemen are yelling at each other. Whereas if you just drop the puck, none of the other nonsense happens. And so the tension builds at the faceoff dot if you don't drop the puck. And then you drop the puck, and then you blow the whistle, and then did the time move? Okay, no, the time's right. Okay, cool. And meanwhile, while you're doing all this, everybody's chirping and chipping and elbowing and shoving and pushing and knocking guys around and stick battling before the puck is even dropped. Drop the puck. If you drop the puck, none of this other stuff happens. And so the game continued to get chippier and chippier and chippier, especially at the face-off dot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one. If you drop the puck, none of this happens. Number two, communication is key. Communication is very, very important at ice level between literally everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice that the refs, before the puck drops, they all get to center ice and they all smack each other right on the AHL crest. Everybody gives the other guy a fist bump and gal on the AHL crest. We're all on the same team. You must remember that the off-ice officials wear the exact same crest on their jackets too. It's the job of the official that when there's a goal scored, you come over and you tell us who scored it. When you call a penalty, it's your job to come over here and tell us who you called it on. That's like basic A-level officiating 101, communication. And so communication was not the strong suit this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, why did Skinner get the penalty and oh my goodness, what's his name on Hartford did not? So here's how this Walcott, Daniel Walcott. So so there was the matching roughings between Dean and Walcott.
Yep.
Okay. They both go to the penalty box. Well, Walcott was on his way. He didn't make it all the way there. As always is the case, and this is nothing new. If there's a fight, the guy goes to the bench. Teammates get the sticks, get the gloves, get the helmets. They bring them to the penalty box to give to the player. Happens all the time.
All the time. Right.
What Walcott says, and again, I was writing notes and it happened right in front of me and my face was buried in my notebook. What he says is that as Skinner walked by with Dean's stick to give it to him in the box, that Skinner speared him. Now, again, I didn't see it. All I know is that Walcott was furious, yelling and screaming, he speared me, that bleeper, bleeper. Skinner, on the other hand, was looking at him going, dude, like, what are you talking about? Like, no, I didn't. Like, what are you, like, no, I didn't. I don't even know what you're talking about. And he kind of skated away. I'm usually pretty good at reading people and saying that guy's full of, you know what, and that guy's not. Mm-hmm. I found that one hard to decipher because Skinner is kind of, I call him Gronkowski. He's kind of a goofball like Gronkowski, but he takes the game seriously, of course. That bar down shot, goal that he had, I had such a good view of, man, bar down and in was nasty. I didn't know who I believed. Can I just put it that way? Sure. I didn't know two guys telling completely different. He said, and I couldn't tell who was telling the truth, but that's what that was about, is that Walcott thought that Skinner speared him. And apparently the refs bought the story because Skinner served unsportsmanlike conduct. I believe that was a 10-minute, wasn't it?
A 10-minute.
Yeah, it was a 10-minute. So that was sort of what happened there. I think that Walcott being as passionate about what had happened as he was. I mean, I've never really seen the guy who works the visiting box, Bill, who I love, older guy in his 70s and not a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's tall, but he's not like, big. But his job is to, when the player comes to the box, you shut the door and you leave the play. You separate the player from the referees. And Walcott going after him, I've never seen Bill literally closing the door on a player. It's like when your dog's getting out of the house and you don't want him to, and you're trying to get the dog in while close the door. It was sort of the situation there. But he was very passionate, and apparently the referees believed him. And I don't know if that was the right or wrong call, or if he was even picked up. Any of it was picked up on Flow Hockey or by into the cameras, but that was the situation that happened there. So
yeah, I couldn't see anything on Flow Hockey,
which again led us to have to turn the light on to call the ref over to say, why is Hunter Skinner in the box? Oh, you called it unsportsmanlike. Thank you for telling us. That's important information that we need to know. Thank you.
I was confused because,
and I think Friday night too, but anyway,
he was in the box, but if he had a 10-minute misconduct, it was under 10 minutes left in the period. So he should spend that in the locker room. Isn't that normally how it would go down?
I was curious because it was exactly 10 minutes on the clock. Yeah. And so Yeah, I asked Tommy ahead of off ice. I said, "When is he out? Does he have to come back to the box for literally 1 second when the period starts and then not get out until the whistle blows?" And then Tommy said, "No, double zeros, he's out." In other words, when the period's over, zeros on the clock, he's free. So, yeah, and a lot of people had questions like that. I get this a lot. Why did so and so get thrown out of the game, or why did so and so get thrown out of the period? They didn't get thrown out. If you get into a fight and it's a 5-minute penalty and there's 3 minutes on the clock, they send you to the locker
spend
room.
it in the locker room, right?
Because what's the point, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're coming out on a power play goal or anything. You're in there for 5 minutes, so just go to the locker room and ice your hands and come back later.
Yeah.
So there is that element of it too. I think Skinner in that situation wanted to be in the box.
To antagonize a little bit more?
No, I just think that he's a hockey guy, and he's like, why would if I got to sit for 10 minutes, let me sit here where the game's going on. I don't want to go sit and watch it on a TV. Like, no, I want to sit here. And I think that's sort of his mentality, which I love, by the way.
Yeah.
I would much rather a guy be like, no, I want to be here with my teammates. Like, I got a Dean's in the box next to me. Like, I want to be here with my teammates. I kind of like that rather than, let me just go like hit the showers or take off my pads and get cold, really is what you're going to do out there. So that was sort of that whole situation. I think that's why he wanted to stay in the box.
Interesting. I have 3 quick thoughts on it. One, I'm with you. I didn't see it. I'm hoping, I would be hopeful, and this is sort of my expectation, one of the 4 officials saw something, because I don't think you could just give somebody a 10-minute misconduct on hearsay.
They did bring in the linesman too. So it was a full 4-person crew talking about it.
I'm thinking I'm going to err on the side of, you tried to get away with one and he didn't. And I'm with you. Like, you don't often see guys that hot in the penalty box trying to climb out of the penalty box to get at somebody for no reason. So I'm going to, as a fan and as doing that, like, I'm going to err on the side of that.
And Walcott's a pro. He's been around. He's not some over dramatic. No, he's a baller. So,
question for you regarding communication. And I know so much, there's pressure on you guys all the time. Like, hey, teddy bear toss, you got to get these bears cleaned up in 11 minutes or you're fine. You got to, your 6:05 puck drop, you got to start or you're fine. Like, is there pressure on officials to minimize that time where not saying they were right in it, because clearly most officiating crews communicate better with you, some more than others, right? But is there
for that crew?
I know there's a time limit, like they don't want long celebrations after goals and things like that. Like, you got to move on, keep the game moving. Is there pressure on referees after any type of whistle, keep the game moving?
As far as I know, they would rather get it right.
Right. But I would agree with that. Yeah.
So there is that element to it. I think that if they're staring at the iPad, for example, I think they would rather them stare at it. I think there is an internal clock with them that is like, we can't stare at this thing all day.
Right.
We've watched it frame by frame 6 times. Is it or isn't it? Kind of thing.
And if it's not, then it isn't.
Then it isn't. Exactly. Yeah. And to what I sort of started this with, I thought that at least in the NHL, maybe 5-6 years ago, they were saying we're implementing a clock for getting faceoffs down.
Yeah.
And no more of this dilly-dallying and even again, like, there were so many times in that game where something happens and I do a read and I look up and there's 4 players on the ice from one team and 2 from another team and goalies are skating in circles and I'm going, what is going on? Did somebody call a timeout? Like, I'm literally like, oh no, did somebody call a timeout and I missed it? No, one ref is talking to one coach. The other ref is talking to the other coach. The players are all just spinning around in circles, swearing at each other. And it's like, you do not have control of this game at all whatsoever. At some point you have to tell the coach, you know what? Shut up. I'll talk to you later. You can come visit me at intermission in the dressing room. We got a hockey game to play. If you don't like the penalty, then kill it. We got a game to play, blow the whistle, skate over the dot, and drop the puck. Mm-hmm. But you can't spend 45 minutes explaining every detail to the coach just because he asked and he wants an explanation. No, you'll get your explanation in my post-game notes. You don't owe the coach anything. So tell him to shut up, skate back to the circle, drop the puck. That's how that situation needs to be handled and unfolded. And it wasn't.
Yeah, it didn't.
As much this weekend.
My last thought on the whole Walcott, Dean, Skinner debacle. Well done Captain Matthew Pekka. There were a few times this weekend that I was like, who's wearing 63? And look, every player, you play within yourself, right? You are who you are. They each have their own personalities and mentalities. And I'm not saying anyone needs to change or anything, but I did enjoy seeing Matthew Pekka. And I think he jumped on Walcott, which started it. And then Dean stepped in, but just awesome job. Matthew Pekka, physical. He knows when he's got to do what he's got to do, and he did it. So that's my last thought on that. I just wanted to make sure we talked about that. Matthew Pekka almost dropping the gloves a few times this weekend, but definitely jumping on Walcott there was probably the most impulsively physical I've ever seen him, where just like he just turned and jumped on him. It was awesome. That was awesome.
I was going to bring it up when you were talking about Tommy Cross and captaincy stuff, and I didn't want to step all over Tommy Cross, but there were two. There was one that was in front of me, sort of in front of me, that ended up being a big scrum. Mm-hmm. And then there was the one behind the net, and I think the one behind the net was the Walcott one. That's right.
I think so.
Or one along the boards. But either way, there was a series of penalties that were handed out that Pekka was right in the middle of. In fact, at one point, the one near me, he was on his knees getting leaned back and twisted, and somebody was falling on his legs. And I'm like, it's like watching an offensive lineman, like, don't roll up an ankle. You know what I mean? But no, and this is what captains do, because he's in a cold streak right now. He isn't producing the way that he has in the past, the way that I'm sure he wants to. How do you continue to be an impactful part of the game? And sometimes that's what it comes down to. We've seen that from Hugh McGing when he's not scoring goals, and all of a sudden, boom, he pops somebody twice his size, and it's like, oh, okay. So I totally agree. I'm glad you brought it up. I thought Pekka was really, really leading, and adding that little bit of physicality made a difference over the weekend.
Yeah. A few with some of the other fan rants, a lot of them in Steve Ott we trust. And sure, I mean, why not? I am, yes, I'm on board, and I think it's been all good. I am excited that I'm excited to see how they respond tonight. You're hopefully watching this Wednesday when we're releasing it, but they play Wednesday in Syracuse. This is going to be a physical game. You just lost 4-0 in Bridgeport. So now, coach, up until now, yep, I'm on board, and I let's keep this Steve Ott train rolling. But now, how do they respond? You're in a big in the beginning of a long road trip, and let's see how we continue and respond after that 4-0 loss in Syracuse. But I'm on board so far. I do want to talk about this. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, I think this is a great opportunity for the coach to bond with the players. Get away from town, staying in the same hotel, riding the same bus, taking the same plane, going out to Iowa. This is a good chance for the coach and the players, and even the assistant coaches, to all sort of bond and come together.
Yeah. Steve Badura points out, notice more leadership when players get back to the bench. The coach is there giving feedback. More team bonding has taken place for sure. It's been a total 180-degree turnaround and exciting to watch. He does ask, why didn't Hartford get a penalty for knocking Z on his ass?
Because he was out of the crease.
And then he talks about the Skinner thing. So yes, that's what I was going to say.
Yep.
He did come out of the crease. So as far as I understand, he is less protected, but the player still has to make a play on the puck. And Ryan highlighted that in the broadcast. Was like, well, those plays are tough.
It was 50-50 because he wasn't exactly making a play, but I also don't think the contact was intentional. I felt like he kind of looked up and was like, oh crap, then bam.
Yeah.
It was a car crash.
If he's closer to the crease there, I would hope, I would like any goaltender, not just ours. I would like the goaltender to get the benefit of the doubt on that call. But I think that was a case of he was too far away from the crease. He became a skater. Z's trying to play the puck outside his protected area. Well, you're not as protected outside there. And yes, the Hartford player does need to be making a play for the puck. I don't think there was enough intent to prove he wasn't going for the puck. Like, the puck was there. He has every right to make a play for it. It was one of those things, discretion of the official. And, I do wonder if that play led to, I don't see Z on the injury report. So I don't, as far as I know, he's playing tonight in Syracuse, as far as I know. But maybe, my knee's a little sore, my hip's a little sore, my this is a little sore, I got elbowed in the, I don't know. He's got a lot of pads on, but maybe that contributed to him not playing Sunday as well. Who knows? I don't know. But
do I remember he had cotton shoved up his nose at the end of the game?
Yeah.
So it was definitely that, and that's one of those plays that I wonder, like, let's say his helmet doesn't come flying off, because the minute his helmet comes off, the whistle blows.
Yeah.
If his helmet stays on and Hartford scores instantly after that, and he's laid out, what's the call?
Yeah.
Is that because goaltender interference nowadays, you see it. We have replay. We got to break it down frame by frame. And if there's the slightest bit of contact, then it's no goal, because we live in a world that loves to take away points and touchdowns for some reason. So I'm curious how that would have all shaken out. I'm glad it didn't, and I didn't have to deal with that. But it was interesting. And hey, you know what? Good for Z, man. That was a freaking shot he took, man. That's one of those things where you hear it. And I talked about that Wagner hit on Tufty. You could hear it.
Yeah.
That was one that I was like, ooh, like I can hear that. And he got up and he finished the game. That's a baller move. That is a tough kid. And that was really impressive to see. So I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah. And Steve, to your bigger point, like I'm seeing it too. You're seeing coaching. You're not seeing, as a parent, right? This, Steve, like sometimes saying less is a little bit more frightening to kids. I'm pissed off and I'm not going to say anything to you. I'm just going to look at you. And how many times does Connor Walchuk just stand there, or did he just stand there stone faced?
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I'm not going to say anything here. And again, I don't want to speculate or beat the guy down. He's not here anymore. So let's just talk about who is. I like and enjoy seeing conversations being had on the bench and coaching and seeming to have some sort of deeper connection than we have seen in the past. So
I think age is a part of it too. I mean, he's what, 45 and dealing with 20-year-olds. Trust me, as somebody who's in my 30s and dealing with teenagers, they're more likely to listen to me because they think I'm closer to their age. They don't realize how old I am.
Yeah.
So they think I'm like still cool, which I'm not. You know what I mean? Compared to some of the older teachers. Like, I don't mean to be an ageist or anything like that. That's just how the world
but it's how it is. 100%.
How it is.
Yeah.
So I think there's a relatability factor to that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's good, because I think there are players that if they just added a little bit of Steve Ott's game to their game, now we're talking. If Otto Stenberg's going to go out there and add a little bit more Steve, and Zach Dean. If Zach Dean can score and also play a gritty style and maybe kill a penalty or two, that guy's going up to St. Louis before you know it. And that's again the end goal. So, I agree. I agree with a lot of what people are talking about. I think Al pointed out the shot blocking, the effort. Again, it's literally just have more effort and give it 100%. And what do you know? Mm-hmm. What they're capable of. So I think it's great. This team's getting healthy. They're trying. They have good coaching, good leadership. I'm so curious to see what the next month brings.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And by the way, you have a road trip here against teams that aren't Providence, Bridgeport, Hartford. Like, let's get out of the division. Let's see some. I know we just saw Toronto, but let's go see Syracuse, Toronto, Iowa. Let's just get out of the Thunderdome. Let's step out of our comfort zone and see what happens. Because I think that sometimes, like I said, the bonding, but sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone is when you can really tell who you are as a team and as a player. And
agreed.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and here we have it. You have Syracuse tonight if you're watching on Wednesday night at Syracuse, Friday at Rochester, Saturday at Toronto. 3 teams, all with winning records. Right now Syracuse number 2 in their division, Toronto 3 in their division, and Rochester 5 in their division. I think, not watching a lot of North Division games, and any. I don't want to say that, right? Not watching any.
But you can on the Flow Hockey app.
I could, but I don't.
It's so unnecessary.
Yeah. Sorry. Historically, they're physical, they're gritty. It's it's a different kind of matchup. And I talked about this, I think, last week. I remember last year, I thought Syracuse kind of derailed the momentum that Springfield had playing their gritty, I'm going to stick my finger up your nose in the middle, like on the boards, kind of like
ball.
the play. Yeah,
like,
like, like, again, it wasn't goon hockey. I don't want to call Syracuse a bunch of goons, but they just play a very physical, in your face, get under your skin. You're annoying me. You're my little brother, and I want to punch you in the face, but now I got to play a hockey game kind of style. And so I am curious. I'm excited to see how Springfield matches up with that. Right now, as it timing of this recording, right? You're Springfield, you're in 7th, not in 8th anymore in your division. You're now 4 points out of Bridgeport. So these are
with the game in hand.
Yeah.
But yes.
You're 4 points down. You're 1 point ahead of Hartford. And I do feel at some point soon, I do feel like Hartford and Springfield are on 2 different trajectories. And if Springfield can capitalize on this road trip, if they can bond, if they can, it doesn't have to be a 5-game winning streak, but you got to come away with points. So again, another 4 out of 6 points this week, to me, playing in the North Division, Syracuse, Toronto, Rochester would be huge for that. And, like I said, how will Springfield match up with the physicality part? I think that's the key in this first Syracuse matchup, at least. Toronto's, again, a very similar team as far as their physicality. But I don't know. That's sort of, for me, that's the key. Will they match up? Will they be able to go toe-to-toe physically?
And I actually love watching Syracuse play because I love that style. But I will say that the Thunderbirds are last in their division in penalty minutes, which is with 452. I mean, that's the lowest.
Yeah.
Not last, but that's the lowest, 452 penalty minutes. Syracuse has 589 and Toronto has 613. So if you want to get the power play going and you want to figure out special teams and you want to win a game with your special teams, maybe that's what it is this weekend, is taking advantage of your power plays when you get them, staying out of the box when you do, kill penalties. Special teams and the power plays looked good under Steve Ott. So now is a really good opportunity for them to capitalize on teams that are a little less disciplined than you in terms of penalties and kind of use that to your advantage. So I'm curious. I want them to win the special teams battle over the next 3 games.
Yeah, great. And it's interesting, like historically, if I told you have one of the most disciplined teams in the league and your both special teams are top quarter of the league, you're not a 7th place team in your division, but yet here we are. Here we are.
We are.
So
5-on-5 is important.
Put all this stuff together. Let's get some wins. It's not going to be easy. I think it's going to be physical. It's going to be scrappy. I agree with you. Yeah, I think special teams will play a huge role in this weekend's games. Win 4 out of 6, and I'm happy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been good, Matt. We want to thank our friends at the TDS Center for Communication and Social Learning in Amherst. Visit them at tdsspeech.com. Mascon United Training Center, MCU Training Center.com, and by our buddy Rob at Landscaping That Fits, landscapingthatfits.com. Thank you to all you guys for sponsoring the Fan Rant section. Thanks to the fine folks out there for listening and communicating. And 17 episodes into the season, Matt. We're rolling, babe.
Here we go. Yep. Folks, thank you for listening. Thank you to our sponsors. Remember the likes, the subscribes, the shares, all that. Tell your friends to listen with you or in separate cars, so it's even more views and listens.
Yeah, we'll take them. For sure.
Go on our socials and please vote in the polls. Tommy Cross or Tyler Tucker. We'll be reading those results next week. 3 big games up north: Syracuse, Toronto, Rochester. Let's get some wins. Let's go.